Hi, I'm Dave Isaac, producer, mix engineer, and I'm here with Universal Audio, and I'm going to talk about some tips and tricks that I use with Universal Audio plugins that will widen your stereo tracks a little bit more in your mix. For this tip, I'm going to use the EP34 Tape Echo and the Precision Enhancer plugins to bring out this Rhodes track a little bit. What that does is it takes the Rhodes out of the center, leaving room for the bass and the kick and snare, and it makes the sides a little bit wider without doing any mid-side tricks. Actually, that's similar to what's called the Haas effect. By creating a wall, per se, just by shifting the one side of a track by 10 to 12 milliseconds. You can go as far as 25 milliseconds before you get into effects like chorus and flanging and things like that, but don't go over 25 milliseconds with that. First thing I'm going to do is split this track into two mono tracks and delay one side by 12 milliseconds. So in this case, I'm going to use it as an auxiliary send. And add the enhancers behind it. First, I'll start with the hertz, the lower frequencies. So this is a setting that I normally use here, where I just go 50% on the effect, around 130, and then I'll add in the other one now, and add a little top end with a precision kilohertz. It's another setting that I use here, using all four in the mode settings, A, B, C, and D. Now that I got it set up, let me show you how it sounds going back and forth between the original Rhodes and the new Rhodes with the EP34 and the enhancers. For my next tip, I'm going to widen the pad using the Dimension D plugin. And this tip you can use this on anything, but it will make things even more wider than the last tip that I just showed you. Okay, so to start, I'm going to split this track into dual mono tracks. Shift it back by 12 milliseconds again, we'll do that. Now the trick to this is, since you have each side separated, I can add a stereo Dimension D to both sides. So by putting a stereo Dimension D on it, it took that mono track, and that information now has become stereo. The other side, with its own information, has become stereo. So now I have this wider pad because each side is now stereo instead of it being the two sides by themselves, the way it was originally. And as you can see, I didn't make any adjustments to the Dimension D. I just pulled up a standard preset and away we went, because they came up as stereo, and Dimension D gives it a new dimension. So the fact that you have a dimension on the left and another dimension on the right just gives it that special thing. For this tip, I'm going to show you how I use the SPL Transient Designer to bring out the attack in the guitar. And also a trick that I use when I use the EMT 140 plate, which is to put a delay before the plate, so it also widens the sound. Now this was done on a stereo track. The guitarist probably recorded his amp at the same time, so it allowed me to use stereo plugins. The first thing that I added was the Transient Designer. And what I did is I really boosted the attack, because what he's playing is so fast. I really want the attack to come out each thing that he's playing, because he's a shredder. So I want you to hear everything that he does. And it brings it out just enough for you to hear all of the picking that's going on. Next, I'll add the 1176 SE version just to level it out a little bit. After that, I added the enhancer. Now with the enhancer, I added one of their universal audio presets, which is electric guitar, because I just wanted to bring out the picking even more. Now I send that to the reverb, the 140. But before that, I want to create a medium delay. And what I'm doing with that delay is I'm making sure that each side is different. So one is set for 113, the other one is 227. And you can base this on the BPM of the song, or you can just base it on your ear, whichever one works for you. But you want to make sure that it just sends two different signals down the plate. For this version, I'm sending it to the A plate. And the width is 100. I brought down the low frequency just a little bit, because I don't want it to cloud up the mix. So sometimes I'll usually roll out some of the low end on the plate. Let's see what that sounds like. All right, so I hope these tips help you with your universal audio plugins. And remember that these tips can work with any style of music that you're doing. It's basically the concept that matters as far as widening your sound.